you can't, I guess you can, because you kind of combine them all. Which one's that?
We took a different set of pictures of the car.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be-
I'll just take one by this one out.
There's a big delay.
I just don't know.
Oh, and video.
Yes,
Jurors are eager, they want to open the door already.
yes, we're ready.
Okay, all right, for the jury.
Oh, please be seated. We stand for you. And I see you all are already,
We said for you.
yes, please be seated. Yes.
I just wait for her to get up.
Oh, what a gum. I'm also still.
And I see everybody's moving around on me, so that's good. That keeps me on my toes. Everyone, please be seated. And state, call your next witness.
Say we'll call Isabel Rodriguez.
All right, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, please have a seat. Make sure you speak in the microphone and keep your voice up so everyone can hear you. And if you could state your name and spell it for the record, please.
Isabel Rodriguez,
And if you spell it for the record, please.
Isabel.
All right, state.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Isabel.
Good afternoon.
How old are you?
I am 24.
Did you used to live in the Casiano home?
I did.
How long?
5 years ago, I would say.
And did you live on Angela Walk?
Yes,
Do you remember the address?
yes.
What was
It's 919 Angela Walk, San Antonio, Texas, 78208.
it? All right.
Yeah,
Okay. And obviously, you know why you're here,
yes,
to testify about something that happened way back in February of 18.
yes,
Do you remember it?
yes, clearly.
Do you know this guy?
Yes, I do.
How do you know him?
He was my mom's ex-boyfriend.
And so you could identify him back then?
Yes,
And you had known him for how many months prior to this shooting?
I say like eight months.
So he'd been with your mom for about 8 months?
Yes.
Was he living with your mom?
At the time, yes.
Let's give a little history in
Okay.
terms of that. How did he come into your life?
My mom met him at the bus stop.
And then they started,
They started talking from there. And then within like 2 weeks, that's when he moved into my house.
was that the house in Angela?
No, it was on San Nicolas.
And at some point in time, when did you actually move over to Angela?
Right after him and my mom kicked me out of my own house. Sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. There was some tension, wasn't there?
Yes,
And tension because you weren't a big fan of his, were you?
yes,
That's correct?
yes, correct.
And so when did you actually move into Angela Walk?
I don't remember the date when I moved in.
Was it the fall of 2017?
Yes. Yes,
Maybe a few months before
Yes.
this shooting?
yes,
I'm gonna ask you, the court reporter can only take down one person at a time, so wait till I'm finished talking.
okay, I'm sorry.
You're good. Are you scared to be here?
Yes,
What do you remember from the night of February 2nd and the morning of February 3rd?
the day of the shooting.
Yes, sir.
I remember that day like it was yesterday. So that day of the shooting, that morning, he was pacing up and down my sidewalk.
How we approach?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard some testimony, but you're not allowed to deliberate and you're not allowed to discuss testimony amongst yourself. If you all could wait out in the hallway just for 60 seconds, don't leave this area back here. And Deputy Laura, if you could take them to the side, please. Everyone, please rise. All right, everyone, please be seated and state in defense if you all would like to approach the witness.
Yes, yeah,
We can't talk about stuff. We can talk about shooting when they're 20 minutes before,
okay,
but we can't talk about the stuff earlier in the day.
okay.
So the stuff that we can talk about, like you said, right?
When he
20
was
or 30
shooting, yeah, when
right,
he was
right
shooting
before-
first.
Right
yeah.
before the murder.
That's what I was gonna get at, right when he was walking
Listen,
and he's,
listen,
okay,
listen. Okay. So just listen to my questions and answer just what I'm asking you.
Okay.
And the same when they ask you questions, okay? The only other thing we can talk about is the fact that you knew he used methamphetamine,
Yeah.
okay? And we'll talk a little bit about that too, okay? Are you clear?
yes,
Okay, so let's not talk about, you can't talk about him assaulting your mom, you can't talk about
Yes.
him punching you in the face, all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
This one? You know.
That's fine. Your fault, so you're-
All right.
Judge, we move for a mistrial based on the violation motion.
All right, that'll be denied. All right. Deputy, could you just whisper in the hallway and let them know when you're ready? Yes.
All right, for the jury.
All right, everyone, please be seated. And state, you may continue.
Isabel, let's talk about just maybe in the 30 minutes or so before the two people were shot.
Mhm.
You remember that?
Yes.
What do you remember seeing that night?
Hit Mr. Montez shooting.
Where was he?
He was shooting up in the air, and then from there, the bullets started flying everywhere.
When you say bullets started flying, how do you know bullets were flying everywhere?
Because within I say within 10 minutes, we heard sirens, the police, and then my neighbor came saying that somebody got shot.
Hearsay.
Sustain.
Okay. So did you make a phone call
I did.
to 911?
I did.
What did you tell them? Do you remember?
That Mr. Montez was shooting outside the apartment.
Now, let's talk about where your apartment was in relationship to where the defendant was.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Montez. So you were at 919?
Yes.
Was he staying at 928?
Yes, right across the street.
So
Yes.
basically it was just.
Right across the street. You could see everything right across the street.
And this is a silly question, but does 919 have windows?
Yes.
Could you see out?
Yes.
All right. And when you say across the street, was it, I mean, you could see who it was.
Yes.
You can wait until I finish.
Okay, sorry.
I know, you have to follow the rules. So was he by himself shooting or were there other people?
There was 2 other guys with him.
Did you know the other guys?
No, I did not.
Were they older or younger?
They were younger.
And did you know that if they lived at 928?
I believe they did.
So they might have been neighbors across the street, but you didn't really know them.
Yes.
When, to your knowledge, had Richard recently started staying at 928?
I want to say yes.
Maybe just in the days right before?
Yes.
And do you recall that earlier shooting when you called 911? Do you recall what type of weapons they had? Were they pistols? Were they rifles?
They were handguns.
You weren't close enough necessarily to see.
No.
All right, just one second. So I know sometimes when people are first testifying, there are issues, but the court reporter can only take down one person at a time. So you're going to have to listen to his question, answer his question, and then he won't talk over you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you. But you could see that they were shooting handguns.
Yes.
Those 3 guys. Were they at that point in time? Could you see if they were shooting at anyone in particular?
No.
Could you see if they were shooting in the air? Were they shooting into the ground or at buildings?
The first fires, they were shooting up in the air, and then the second round, that's when they started just. Okay.
Is that after you made the 911 call?
Yes, that was the second time that they had did the rounds, because the first time I had called anonymous.
And when you called anonymous after they had been shooting, did they stay in the front yard or where?
No, they ran inside.
Inside where?
Inside the 128 apartment
Or 928?
or 928.
Which was where you had seen them standing in front.
Yes.
Now, at some point in time, they must have come back outside.
Mhm.
Do you know when? Did you see them come out?
Yes.
Was it the same 3 guys?
Yes.
Were they carrying weapons again?
The second time, yes.
Now, did that second time, were you able to see anything going on before they started shooting, or did you just start hearing gunshots again?
At first they were just I guess talking in the street loud, and they were just shooting.
Again, shooting at cars, buildings, air?
Just shooting. Not in the air, it was just like that.
Who all was in 919 with you?
Me and my sister and my 3 kids and my niece.
Your sister Brianna
Yes.
is Was that her daughter that was with you or
Yeah.
another sister's niece? Or-
No, that was her daughter.
So it's you, your sister, your 3 kids and 1 other child.
Yes,
So a total of
4 kids. 4 kids in the house.
and 2 adults.
Yes.
What room were you in when you were able to watch this shooting?
I was in my sister's room
And is that upstairs or downstairs?
upstairs.
And does it have windows that face the street?
Yes, it is.
Is there anything in between? Making noise over here. 919 and 928 aren't separated by any buildings or anything.
No,
It's just a little roadway.
yes,
No trees,
Mm.
nothing to block your view.
nothing.
Did you have your windows cracked
I did
so you could hear?
everything.
Now, did you know Richard to use methamphetamines?
I did.
How did you know that?
Because he was taking money away from my mom to support his habit.
Okay. Without going into that sort of stuff, did you ever,
Let me approach.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, the last question and answer from this witness, you are to disregard and not consider it. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right, State, you may proceed.
Isabel, did you ever witness? Did you know when Richard was high on
Yes,
methamphetamine?
yes,
Did he act differently?
yes,
And I would assume that that would mean not for the best.
yes.
Was he nicer when he was high?
No. He was more aggressive, more angrier.
And again, was that part of the root of your problems with him?
Yes,
So let's go back to February 2nd. And you have called 911 and Richard and his 2 friends or associates have gone back into 928. And then they come back outside at some point.
mhm.
And did you witness them get into any sort of scuffle or anything like that?
No. There was nobody outside.
The time that shots were being fired, what did you do in the house? Did you get down?
I got down and I put my kids down on the floor because I don't know where the bullets were gonna go.
It's pretty scary probably.
Yes,
Because he's right across the street.
yes,
Was it one gunshot?
No, it was multiple.
And where was your sister at this time?
She was looking outside the window.
In the same room?
Yes,
So she was maybe a little braver?
yes.
Where were her kids?
I was with them on the floor.
So you and all the kids are
We're
on
on
the
the
ground,
floor, yes.
and your sister's kind of peeking.
Mhm.
Was that the last time you saw Richard that night?
No.
When else did you see him?
Right after the shooting,
First or second time?
the second time. I know that they had ran back inside. And from that, I saw that. When they had got done shooting, all three of them ran back inside that house and they barricaded themselves in.
So just so I'm clear, each of the two shooting incidents, all three guys run back into 928.
The first shooting, it was just MONTEZ. It was just him. And then the second one, it was all three of them.
And as far as you could see or tell, there was no one else
There was nobody outside.
harassing them?
No, the
threatening?
windows were open. It was cracked. I heard everything. Oh, okay, sorry.
At what point, at one point in time, did you see him with a rifle or a shotgun?
No,
You didn't see him with an AR-15 at one point?
I want to say I did, but he also had a handgun.
And just so we're clear, Isabel, the person that you're talking about, Richard Anthony MONTEZ, is he in the courtroom?
Yes, yes,
Could you identify what he's wearing and point at him?
he's right there
What's he
with
wearing?
the suit,
What colors is?
gray with the black suit.
I'll pass the witness.
Defense.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Rodriguez, my name is Kelly Piddle. I'm
Mhm.
gonna ask you some questions.
Okay,
If you don't understand my question, let me know.
okay.
And how long total had you lived in the Cassiano homes?
And which apartment?
In the whole area?
In the whole
Cassiano-
area?
Yeah.
Maybe for like 2 years.
And it's a housing project?
Yes.
And would you agree with me, it's not a very safe area?
Actually, where I was staying, it was safe. I never heard any gunshots, nobody getting hurt. It was quiet.
You never heard any gunshots while you lived in that area?
Mm-mm.
You lived at 919 and Richard was across the street at 928.
Mhm.
And you wrote a statement that night, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
And safe to say that your memory of the evening would have been better in regards to the statement you wrote on February 3rd than it is today. That's safe to say.
What do you mean?
Your memory of the events that you wrote in your statement
Mhm.
would have been better on February 3rd than it is 4.5 years later. Would you agree with that?
No, because I'll forever remember that day like it was yesterday. Because my life and my kids' life were threatened too.
What time did you first call 911?
I say around 7, 8.
7, 8.
It
Yeah.
was, yes. It was right before the sun was going down.
Okay. My first witness.
Yes.
So your memory. So your memory of that night is just as good today as it was on February 5th.
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit 1. You recognize that?
Yes,
Okay. Is that your signature?
yes, it is.
Okay, and that's the statement you gave on February 3rd
Yes,
of 2018.
yes.
Okay, I want you to read.
Right there with the
Hold
rifle.
on one second. I'll ask the questions. Thank you. I want you to read the sentence starting, it was about, and then all the way down here, okay? About 911. Read that to yourself, please, and let me know when you're done.
This was the second shooting.
You,
Because the
on.
second shooting
minute.
happened
hold
around.
on. It says,
I called twice.
right, so you testified that you called the police the first time at 7 or 8 PM, is that correct?
Yes,
And then, and you agreed with me that in your written statement you gave to the police, the first time you called the police. was
the
at
first
11
time was anonymous.
Ma'am. First time you called the police was at 11:30 PM, correct?
No,
That's what you told in your statement.
that was anonymous call. That second one was with the shooting with Angel.
You told the police that you called 911 at 11:30 PM and 11:40 PM. That's what you wrote in your statement. You just
Yeah.
read it,
I know,
okay?
but that was the second shooting.
Okay. You called the police at 11:30 and 11:40. That's what you told the police on
Mhm.
February 3rd, yes?
Mhm.
Okay. So not at 7 or 8 PM.
It was at 7 or 8, the first shooting.
Okay.
The
Did you
first
have-
shooting, the
Did you
first
have a-
shooting.
Stop. Did you have a chance to review this report before you signed it?
Yes,
Okay, and you told them that everything in here is true and correct?
yes,
Okay. All right. So you called the police at 11:30 the first time, and then the second round of shooting, it was at 11:40. Those were the two times you called the police, yes?
no. I called, the first time was at 8. I called anonymously.
And you said the police arrived.
They arrived, yes.
Did you give them Richard's name?
No, because I didn't talk to them. I just saw them circle around the apartment.
Well, you said you saw that it was Richard, but you didn't tell them it was Richard MONTEZ who was firing in that first time.
No, because he had already ran back into the apartment. And once they run in back to the apartment, they can't really do nothing because there's no,
Did you tell them what apartment they ran into?
yes,
So that'd be in the 911 call.
yes,
So then you called the police a second time at 11:40. And at that time you saw Richard MONTEZ shooting a AR-15, is that correct?
yes.
And he was standing next to the doorway of 928 Angela Walk.
No, he was right there next to the dumpster. There was a dumpster right there next to the house.
Okay. My person, what is he?
Yes.
Why don't you just read your whole statement for me, please?
No, I know what it says. I'm not retarded.
So where in your statement does it say that Richard was standing next to the dumpster?
Well, I didn't put that in the description,
Did you tell the
but he
police that?
was, yes,
Okay,
I did.
okay, and so that didn't make it into your statement?
No,
Okay, the first time we're hearing that from you is.
because everything happened so fast. I could only get what.
Okay. So the dumpsters are at the corner of Angela Walk and Picoso.
Yes,
Showing what's been marked as defense exhibit
Mhm.
2. Are those the dumpsters you were talking about?
yes,
Okay, and Richard was standing next to those.
yes,
And he was firing an AR-15.
yes,
Is this a fair and accurate depiction of the location of the dumpsters?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Move to admit into evidence of defendant's exhibit 2, tendering to the state for review.
Objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 2 is admitted without objection.
Published, okay?
Yes.
Okay, so then I'm showing. I can't orient myself. There we go. Ms. Rodriguez, that's defense exhibit 2.
Mhm.
And the dumpsters over here to the right that I'm pointing at, that's where Richard was standing when he was firing the
That was-
AR-15.
Yes, that was the second.
The second time,
Mhm.
right? And so he was standing over there firing the AR-15.
Mhm.
And you never saw anyone that he was firing at?
No, I had my head ducked down.
You didn't hear anything specifically what Richard was saying, correct? Because that would be in your report.
He was just talking shit.
So you did hear something.
Yeah.
That didn't make it into your report, did it?
Mm-mm. A lot of stuff that happened that night didn't make it into my
Hold on,
report.
man. You gotta wait for a question, right? Do you have any knowledge that Richard Montez was using methamphetamine on February 2nd or 3rd, 2018?
Yes,
You didn't have any contact with him that night, did you?
that night of the shooting.
No, yes, the night of the shooting, you didn't have any contact with him.
Yes,
Did you witness him using methamphetamine?
yes, I did.
That didn't make it into your report, did it?
No.
That would have been important to tell the police, wouldn't it?
I did tell them that he was harassing me that whole day.
Hold on, man. You didn't tell the police that you witnessed him using methamphetamine?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
One second. Jeff. You told the police that from what you witnessed, Anthony wasn't shooting at anything in particular on the second time he was shooting. Is that correct?
Yeah, he wasn't shooting anything. He was just shooting everywhere.
You never saw any other individuals?
No.
On the second 911 call you made, did you tell the police that Richard Montez was shooting? Did you name him specifically?
Yes,
And that call was around 11:40, is that correct?
yes,
The first call was 11:30.
yes.
Passwords.
State. Yes.
Isabel, I want you to listen to my question very carefully, and the answer is gonna be very simple, okay? Was your contact with Richard Montez earlier in the evening, before the shootings, pleasant or unpleasant?
It was pleasant.
It was good?
Oh, no, it was bad. I'm sorry. It
Okay.
was bad.
Okay, so when you had contact with him earlier on February 2nd,
Mm.
it wasn't good.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure we're clear to the jury. Your memory and your testimony today is just as clear as it was on February 3rd when you gave this statement.
Mhm.
I need a verbal yes or no.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Excuse. I don't anticipate.
Defense?
Excuse me.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may step down. State, call your next witness.
We'll call her sister Brianna.
All right. And if anyone needs to stretch in the box, you're more than welcome to stand and stretch. All right, counsel, is this your witness?
Oh, she don't. Yeah.
All right, can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you can have a seat. Make sure you keep your voice up, and if you could state your name for the record, please. Oh, if you could state your name for the record,
Oh, Brianna Rodriguez?
state.
You are Brianna Rodriguez.
Yes.
Are you from San Antonio?
No.
Where were you born?
I live in San Angelo, Texas.
What brought you to San Antonio?
My mother lives down here.
Family here?
Huh?
Is your family here?
My mom's side of the family, yes.
And how many family members do you have in San Antonio?
I have quite a few.
Do you have any children?
Yes,
How many children do you have?
I have 6.
And any brothers and sisters?
Yes,
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a lot.
And what is a lot?
I say like 13, 14.
What's the name of your mom?
Gloria Lopez.
And back in 2018, where were you living?
I was living with my sister.
And where were you living with your sister?
In the Casiano courts.
On the west side?
Yes, on Angela Walk, yes,
And that's in, that's in Bear County, Texas.
yes,
Now, you said that you lived in Castellano Courts. Is it like an apartment?
yes, it's apartment complex.
How many bedrooms?
It was a 2-bedroom.
And back in February of 2018, how many people were living in that apartment?
Before everything happened, it was just me, my sister, and the kids.
How many kids were living in that apartment in 2018?
I think 3.
Your kids?
Huh?
Is your kids?
No, it was my niece and nephew, and then mine. Mine was only 5 months old when everything happened.
Your sister's kids and one of your kids.
Yes,
And how many bedrooms?
it was a 2.
And did you have one bedroom?
Huh?
Did
I
you-
had 1 bedroom and she had the other.
And where did the kids sleep?
My daughter will sleep with me, her kids will sleep with her.
And when you're. Does your bedroom have a window?
Yes,
Where does your window face?
towards my bedroom,
So
by my bed. It's right there by my bed.
Right by your bed?
Mm-hmm.
And are you able to look out into the street?
Yes,
And are you able to see what's going on?
yes.
Speak, you know, Richard Anthony Montes?
Yes,
When did you meet him?
I met him back in October.
October of,
In the middle of October, because that's when I came back to San Antonio, because I was living in West Texas, in Stanton, Texas. That's in West Texas. And I came back to San Antonio like around in the middle of October.
2017?
Yes. No, that was in 2017. Huh? It was.
And so earlier previous year, you had met the defendant.
Yes.
And how did you come to meet him?
My mom, he was my mom's boyfriend.
And sort of jumping ahead to February 2nd of 2018, the night of the shooting, did you see him that day?
Yes, we seen him all that day.
And what was his,
Sorry.
what was his demeanor like that day?
It was very ugly. Like his attitude and everything, it was very ugly. He was just pacing up and down, talking shit to us.
No approach, Judge. We're gonna object, Judge. Violation of motion.
That'll be overruled.
Now, when he's behaving like this, can you tell that, is he normal? Is he angry? Is he on? What can you tell me about?
Sustained.
He was,
Excuse me. When an objection is raised, wait for me to make my ruling. Once I make a ruling, if you don't know if you should answer or not, just ask me.
Okay.
So I've sustained the objection, so you're not allowed to answer that question.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
When you said he was acting ugly, what does that tell you?
ugly, like he was on something, like on drugs and stuff. Like he was hallucinating, just being ugly, like talking crap, being loud, trying to scare us.
Would you say that he gets aggressive?
Yes.
That he tries, are you concerned about your safety right now?
No.
earlier, you said when he's like this, I think you said that he's on drugs. Do you know what kind of drugs?
Methamphetamine.
So when you saw him on February the 2nd, 2018, and he acting this way, what does that tell you?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna object to speculation.
Sustained.
Do you know if he was using drugs on that day of February the 2nd of 2018?
He was,
How do you know that?
because he had bought some that day. And he was up for a couple of nights. as well.
Objection, no response.
Sustained.
Had you seen him the last couple nights?
Yes, he was across the street from my sister's apartment.
Was he up or was he around?
He was around.
How often was he awake at this point? How long?
I'd say for a good 3 days.
And when the defendant is awake for that long, how does his behavior change?
Hallucination, angry.
So on February 2nd of 2018, was he angry that day?
He was on drugs. Yes, he was angry as well.
And do you know where he was staying on that day?
He was across the street from my sister's apartment.
Would that be 928 Angela Walk?
Yes,
How do you know he was staying over there?
because you could see everything from my sister's apartment.
Roughly how far away is your apartment from that apartment where he was staying at?
Just like how we are right now.
Cassiano, those homes are they pretty close together?
They're pretty close together, yes.
So on February the 2nd that night, when do you hear the first shot?
I'm not sure what time it was. I know it was kind of late because we were already laying down, me and my daughter. When I heard the first shot, I got my daughter and I covered her to make sure the bullets weren't coming in my home.
When you say you covered your daughter, where were you at?
On the bed,
In your bedroom.
in my bedroom.
And where is your bed in relation to your window?
Well, my bedroom was in the back. It was in the back because my sister, and then it's the restroom, and then my room.
Okay.
And then you could see everything from that window.
Which window?
From my window,
Okay.
where I was sleeping, you could see everything in there.
From your window.
From my window, yes.
So you're with your daughter. You hear some shots, you cover your daughter. What do you do next?
We heard multiple shots after that, and then I tell my sister, call 911. So she calls the anonymous 911.
So after your sister calls 911, what do you do?
Nothing, we don't do nothing because we don't hear the gunshots no more. Because the cops come and then they run inside. So after that, the cops patrolled at least a good 2 times. And after they patrolled those 2 times, they come back out and then they start shooting more.
So how long after the police left did they come out again?
The police, when after the police left, I say maybe like right after.
And when you hear the second group of shots, what do you do?
I do the same thing. I get my daughter and I humber her, like I cover her because she was just only a baby. Like I didn't know where the bullets were flying. or anything.
And at any point, did you look out the window?
The window, I did look out.
When did you look out the window?
After I hovered my daughter, because like when I hovered, I was looking out to the window. And I see they're like just flying like at the street. Cause you know how it's Angela like this, and then what is it, Picoso on like going the other way. So the bullets were going that way on Picoso. Not Angela walk, it was going the other way.
And just so I'm clear, when you hear the first set of shots that go out, do you look out the window or do you stay inside?
No, I was we're looking out through the window with the police on the phone.
So when you hear the first set of shots, you're looking out the window, what do you see?
I see Anthony and the three boys. I mean, and the two boys.
So you see Anthony and two boys?
Yes.
Had you ever seen those two boys before?
Yes, because they live right across the street from my sister.
Or are they younger or older than Anthony?
They're way younger than Anthony.
So when you see them out, you see the defendant out there with his two friends. Did you see, were they holding any weapons or doing?
They did have weapons on them.
And handguns, rifles, or do you remember?
The second shots, I believe it was like a rifle or something, because it was a loud bang. But the first shots, they were like handguns.
So handguns on the first shot. The second shot, you said it was a loud bang.
Yes.
So you think it could be a rifle because of the loud bang?
Yeah.
Sustained.
Why do you think it was? a
Because
rifle?
it was multiple shots. It wasn't just that, it was like automatic.
It was based on based on the speed of the shot.
Yes.
And so the second time you were shooting, when did you look outside?
When we looked outside, after the shooting happened, after the gunshots happened, like we looked outside and we see all three of the guys run inside. And then when we hear the cops come, we run to the back. My sister runs to the back and she sees the ambulance and she was like, someone got hit. So after that, the cops questioned us and they asked us, do you know who it was? And we told them we do.
Sustained.
At any point, the first time you heard shots, could you see what they were shooting at?
No.
About the second time.
The second time they were shooting on Picoso, like shooting towards Picoso Street.
Okay. Was there anyone in their path?
There was a car that pulled up. That I seen with my own eyes. It pulled up and I don't know what was going on, but I know Anthony walked up to the car first and then the little boys did. And then I know when the car took off, Anthony went behind that car and started shooting at that car.
When you saw this, was your sister somewhere else or was she with?
No, she was with.
Was she with you the whole time or at some point was she with your kids on the floor?
Yeah, the first time she was with the kids on the floor and the second time. So she didn't get to see the car or anything what was going on.
So I think you're going kind of fast, so just sort of explain to me. So when you say that your sister was on the floor,
Covering the kids.
so where is that in relation to the window?
It's my room. I mean, it's the window and then my bed. And then on the side, there's a closet. So she was right there and like by the closet hovering the kids.
Earlier, when you said that she was with you the whole time, she's in the room with you,
Yes, she's in the room with me.
but she's not always standing right next to you.
No, she was with the kids.
I think that was the misunderstanding for me. And so when you see them shooting, your sister is where?
Hovering the kids in my room by my closet.
By your closet.
Yes.
So she wasn't looking out the window.
No,
So when you see someone shooting, who's shooting?
it's Anthony first and then the other boys.
And they're shooting down the street?
Yes,
And when they're shooting, how many shots can you hear?
multiple, a lot. Not just a couple, there's a lot.
Where is that in relation to where they were staying, 928 Angela Walk?
They were across the street by the dumpster.
The dumpster, is that on Picoso?
Picoso, yes.
Verify my approach.
Yes.
Show you what's in marked as state exhibit number 4. Got an overhead,
Okay.
first off,
right here.
is that a map of? overhead map?
Yes,
Does it fairly and accurately represent?
yes.
Okay. For state exhibit 4?
No objection.
All right, state's exhibit number 4 is admitted without objection.
Okay, so in February the 2nd, or close to February the 3rd, what was your address?
Well, I think it was 127 Angela, if I'm not mistaken.
I know it's been 5 years, but the 919 Angela sound familiar?
Yes, there it is.
It's 5 years. I understand. So in terms of 919 Angela. Is that, would that be here?
Yes, it's in the corner.
Okay. And then 928 Angela Walk.
It's across the street.
It's right over here. Now, when you said that he was shooting down the street, which street? We're talking about this street right here,
In Picoso, yes.
so shooting down that street. And where was he shooting from?
By the dumpster,
And where were the dumpsters?
right across the street, right here on Picoso.
That somewhere over here?
Yes, right there where that car, white car's at? That one right there. Yes.
And then you could see him shooting down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And was anyone shooting with him?
Not that I seen. I just seen him.
And at this particular time, your sister is still on the floor.
Yes.
And they're shooting down the street. You said there was another car.
Yes, there's a car.
And how many people were in that car?
I'm not too sure how many people were in that car.
Did you see anybody get out of that car?
No, I see nobody get out that car.
And so you said that that car approaches and what happened?
That car pulls up and I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
I don't know what's going on in that car. Well, when I see it take off, I see Anthony in the back running towards that car, shooting on Picoso Street.
Now, when you said that car approached, how close did that car get to the defendant Anthony?
He walked up to the car, him and the other little two boys.
So when you said you walked up to the car, I mean, he walked up like right next to it?
He walked up to it because it stopped, I guess, to ask him something or find directions or something. I don't know.
Okay.
But he walked up to it.
And did he do anything into the car or did he reach in? Did he?
I'm not sure.
He walks right up to the car. Could you tell, was it just a normal walk, an aggressive walk, or could you tell?
It was a normal walk.
So he and his two friends walk up to the car,
Yes.
and then what happens?
And the car drives off. It drives off and Anthony's behind the car shooting at the car.
As that car is going down,
Picoso. Yes.
you recall how many times he fired?
No.
And what were the two guys that he was with at the time?
Who are they?
So what were they doing?
They were there. They were standing next to him.
Could you tell if they had weapons at the time?
They had weapons. They had.
Did you see them shoot the gun?
No.
So when that car is driving down, there's only one person shooting.
Yes, and that's Anthony. Because he was the only one wearing a white shirt.
Now, I know it's been a long time. Do you remember sort of roughly what that car looked like?
It was gray, I believe. Still gray or silver.
And let me show you State's Exhibit number 5. If I may approach just,
Yes.
Yes, that's the car.
that's the car.
That's the car.
Under State's Exhibit 5.
Take you to the subboard.
Yes.
Ms. Rodriguez, can I approach Ela?
Yes.
So you are down here all the way at the end, is that correct?
Yes.
And excuse me, you may touch the screen, and when you touch the screen, it will mark on it.
Okay, so yeah, why don't you mark on that screen where your apartment is?
My room is right here.
Right there, okay, right where that sidewalk is?
Mm-hmm.
And then all the way down to that far end is where the vehicle you saw, is that correct?
It was right here.
Okay, it's about
It's right here in the middle.
100 yards.
I guess so.
And where was one second, just. No further questions.
All right, any objections to State's Exhibit number 5?
No objection.
All right, State's Exhibit number 5 is admitted without objection. States, you may continue.
State's Exhibit 5. That's the
That's the vehicle, yes. That's
color
the
of the model
vehicle.
of the vehicle. So when you saw the defendant shooting at that car as it was driving down Cosa, could you see there were the number of people in that car?
No,
Too far away,
I was too far away, yes.
but you didn't see the car do anything.
No, nothing suspicious, nothing.
So after you see the defendant shoot at the car that's driving away, what happens next?
What happens next is that we see them run inside the house. Because we hear the cop sirens. So we see them running inside the house.
When you say running into the house, Point to where you mean.
Okay, they're right here. They're right there. After they leave from right there, they come all the way this end and they go inside the house right there.
When they go back in the house, do they stay quiet or do they turn off the lights or what, do they do anything or can you tell?
I couldn't tell.
How long do you think it took for the police to get there?
Maybe like 5 to 10 minutes.
And during these 5 to 10 minutes, what were you doing?
By the window,
Watching?
watching.
And at some point, did your sister join you by the window?
No, she stayed with the kids.
So when you said, told us earlier the defendant was shooting, can you show us the direction that he was shooting in?
He was shooting that way.
Where the gray car was going?
Yes.
And at some point, I guess, did you or your sister contact the police? The police
Yes, my sister had called the police.
And did someone talk to the police?
My sister.
Almost done. From what you could see, you never saw anyone in that gray car do anything aggressive or anything like that.
No,
And do you see the person shooting at that gray car, Richard Montez, today
excuse me?
in the courtroom?
Yes,
Can you please point to him and
Sure.
describe some article of clothing that he's wearing?
he's right there.
The one on the end?
The one on the end.
Thank you. I'm going to pass you over for their questions.
Defense.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Rodriguez, my name is Kelly Piddle. I'm gonna ask you some questions. If you don't understand my question, let me know and let me finish my question, then you can answer, okay? You gave a statement that night on February 2nd, 2018.
I did.
Did you have a chance to review that statement prior to your testimony today?
No,
You haven't seen it?
No.
How many times have you talked about your anticipated testimony with your sister?
we haven't talked about it.
You only heard one round of shots that evening?
We heard 2 rounds of shots that evening.
Okay.
It was the first one we did anonymous call, and then it was the second one.
Did you tell the police that you heard 2 rounds of shots?
No, because we didn't call the second time. We already heard the sirens before we got to call again.
Okay, so did you tell the police in your statements that you heard 2 different rounds of shots from Richard Montez?
No, I didn't write it on my statement.
So it's your testimony that Richard was standing on Picoso
Yes,
when he was firing at the gray vehicle
yes,
in the middle of Picoso.
yes.
How many rounds did you shot from? shoot from Picoso?
Multiple
10?
times,
Like
a
10?
lot of times.
You thought it was an AR?
I think so.
You could see it.
I couldn't see it, but It was something big and loud.
So you couldn't see the gun, but you could see the two guys in the vehicle.
Yes, I couldn't see who was in the vehicle, but there was a vehicle right there.
You didn't look out the window until you saw.
No, I looked out the window the whole time. There was the 3 men out, there's 2 little boys and then Anthony outside.
Let's talk about that. There's a catch yourself. You said 3 little boys and then you changed it to 2.
Well, because
There were
it's
3.
Anthony and then the 2 little boys. Anthony's not a little boy, he's a man.
That's not what you testified to. You testified that you saw there were 3 little boys out there. Isn't that correct? And then you changed it to 2.
Because Anthony is the 3rd person.
And you didn't see anyone else firing a gun up Picoso other than.
Anthony,
Yeah.
yes. The first round,
Hold on.
everybody was
Hold on.
shooting.
You gotta wait for a question, okay? Passwords.
You were asked questions about the statement. You did not type up that statement?
I wrote the statement.
Sorry. Primary approach?
Yes.
Show you State's Exhibit 2. I just want to be clear what we're talking about.
Okay.
Did someone type that statement?
No, I wrote the statement.
Did you sign it?
I signed it. Yes.
But my question is it typed?
Yes, it's typed.
Now, were you the one that typed it out? Or
No,
a detective typed it out?
yes,
Okay, just want to be clear on that.
Okay.
So even though when you say it's yours, you acknowledge that you signed it,
yes, I signed it.
but the detective is the one that sort of typed it up.
Yes, because I went to do a statement.
And then you told the detective in your statement, you saw the defendant shoot down the street.
Yes. Sustained.
What is in your statement about the defendant shooting? Which direction?
Towards Picoso.
Not password.
Coach Lewis,
Yes.
you reviewed your statement before signing it, correct?
Yes, that was 5 years ago.
Tell me where you told detectives that he was on Picoso.
I didn't tell him he was on Picoso.
So you just told me that you told the police it was on Picoso.
No,
That's
I
not
didn't.
Your statement, is it?
I didn't write on here that he was on Picoso. I said I saw him shoot. They didn't tell me he was on. If they would have asked me what street he was on, I would have told him on Picoso, but they didn't ask me. They just asked me who was the shooter, who was there, and that's what I wrote.
So nowhere in your statement did you write or tell them that the shots were from Picoso. Correct?
Correct, because I didn't tell them. They didn't ask
Yes
me.
or no, ma'am?
No.
Passwords.
In your statement, did you tell the police that Anthony shot in the direction of the apartment where the boy was shot?
Yes,
And what street was that?
Picoso.
Password.
No further question.
All right, is this witness excused or subject for recall?
You check.
Excuse me.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You can step down. All right, does anyone need a break? No? All right, state, call your next witness.
They called Juan Enriquez. I'm sorry.
We'll call Sotero Guevara.
There's a screen. You go out and send the wake up. Take them off or leave them on?
We're gonna use this.
Yeah.
Just take it down, Jason. Turns off the light.
Yeah, okay. Kind of blinding.
You can take a seat here, please. You take a seat here.
I'm gonna approach the witness just left her phone up there, sorry.
All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, and if you could state your name for the record, please.
My name is Sotero Juan Guevara Jr.
State.
Sotero, your last name is not Guevara. It's Guevara, right?
Yes, sir.
Would you, and obviously, we're here for something very sad, right?
Yes, sir.
I hate to even jump into this, but obviously your child was killed about 5 years ago, correct?
Yes, sir.
Back up a little bit. Sotero, are you from here in San Antonio?
No, sir.
Where'd you grow up?
In Bryan, Texas.
And when did you move to San Antonio?
It's been some while. My stepfather's from San Antonio.
So did you move here when you were a kid?
Yes, sir. Just off and on. Back and forth.
Off and on, is that?
Yes, sir.
And I can only imagine how hard this is for you, Sotero, but we'll try to run through this. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sotero, how many children do you have?
I have 11.
And that's a lot. How old your oldest?
Gonna be 23.
And how old your youngest?
He's 9.
And was Angel your son?
Yes, sir. He was my baby boy from my first marriage.
Talk to us about Angel.
Andrew was a good boy. Good in school. Very respectful to everybody. It's sad they took my son like that because he wasn't in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was in the privacy of his home. And we were doing family things like anybody, that loves their family. My kids were always with me.
Let's talk about that, Sotero. Let's go back to, unfortunately, February 2nd of 2018. Who was at your house that night?
It's me and my kids.
All of them, or?
No, I just had it was my oldest boy, Sotero, John, Angel, Caterino, Ezekiel, and Serenity in the home.
And did you live, do you recall the address you lived at?
203 St. Christopher Walk.
203 St. Christopher Walk.
Yes, sir.
Is that in the Casiano?
Yes, sir, it is.
And was that right off Picosa?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're there with your kids, and did you have a girlfriend at the time?
Yes, sir.
And was she there as well?
She was there as well.
Had you guys been eating dinner or watching TV, or what were you doing?
We just got through having dinner, so we were all just laughing and carrying on in the house, just having family time.
And what do you remember next?
I remember standing in front of my kitchen window and hearing a bunch of gunfire. So I screamed to them to get down. My oldest boy was asleep in the living room. Andrew was standing at my refrigerator with his brother. They were talking. Like I said, we were all just talking. When I told everybody to get down, my son John ran up the stairs and Angel was right behind him. When I heard a loud pop, and I turned to look, and all that glass flew in my face. And I knew a bullet had came in because I seen the big hole in my kitchen window. When my girlfriend started screaming that my son was on the floor, not moving, and there was blood coming from his head. So I crawled over to my oldest son that was asleep in the living room where he wouldn't get up and get shot too, because there was a lot of gunfire going on. And I told him he couldn't get up because my son had been shot. And he begged me, please let me go to my brother. And I told him he can't. And he begged me, please let me go to my brother because they were raised together. He was a father figure to my son when I wasn't around. He had to go hold his brother, taking his last breath because they took his brother from him and from my whole family. I don't have no resentment toward anybody, but God forgive them. Because I want to be forgiven too one day. I'm a Christian. And may he ask God for forgiveness because God is the only one that gives mercy in this world that we live in.
So that'll, let me stop you for a second. Your son was standing in the kitchen by the fridge with his brother,
Yes, sir.
and then you start hearing gunshots. How many gunshots do you think you heard?
It sounded like a little war outside. There was that much gunfire. There was over maybe 100 rounds, if better.
And so then obviously you were scared and everyone was scared, I'm sure.
I was terrified, not for myself, for my children. There had been many times gunfire outside, but never like that.
And did it sound like it was close by, or did it sound like it was down the street, or what?
It sounded like it was right outside my house, right outside my window.
Now, your house on 203 at St. Christopher, that was just a short distance away from Angela Walk, right?
Yes, sir. Probably about the distance from here to the elevators.
To the elevators out in the hallway?
Yes, sir.
So not very far.
No, sir.
And you told your family, get down, get down. Did you call 911?
Yes, sir, I did. Help for him. That was the hardest thing I ever had to do was call his mother and tell him my son was dying.
So that was at his mother in the courtroom.
Yes, sir.
She's sitting behind me.
Yes, sir, she is.
You obviously didn't see who fired the gun, did you?
No, sir, I didn't.
And your son was the paramedics came. Did they take him to the hospital?
The paramedics never came to my door. When I was on the phone with 911, I heard people moving around outside, so I snuck to my front door and peeked out. When I noticed there was a bunch of police officers running around, so I opened my door and screamed to them. They ran in my house, and the first thing the officer said was, "Oh my God." And they grabbed my baby off the floor and ran him out of my house.
So when the officer said, "Oh my God," you mean your impression was?
Because he seen my son laying on the floor the way he was.
And I hate to even bring this up, so that, but where was your son shot?
In his head.
There's Kleenex right there if you need it, sir.
He,
Judge, may I approach?
Yes.
So I hate to do this, but we have to identify the people that were killed, okay?
Yes, sir.
And so I'm gonna show you a picture. It's been marked State's Exhibit number 7.
Yes,
And I'm
sir.
just gonna show it for a second, okay? Can you look over here?
It's my baby.
Okay, was that after he passed away? And then I'm gonna show you a slightly better picture. State's Exhibit number 6. Who's this?
That's my baby boy. Living his finest life when he was full of life.
When was that taken? Do you remember?
The Christmas right before he was taken.
I'll move to chapter State's Exhibit 7. State's Exhibit 6. No objection.
All right, could parties approach, please?
Yes, ma'am.
So without objection, State's Exhibit number 7 and 6 are admitted. And ladies and gentlemen, just so you're aware, the frame copy is going to be printed. So you'll have a printed copy of that and not the actual one that's in the frame.
Judge, and if it's okay, I'll publish number 6 right now, but number 7 will say for later. Pass the witness.
Defense.
Your last name is Gabata.
Yes, sir.
Just want to give you my condolences. I truly am sorry about your son.
Thank you. God bless you.
I realize that there's nothing that can be done to bring him back. Here, we're just asked that you let us know what you know from that night. You said that there've been many times there's been gunfire outside.
Yes, sir.
How long had you lived in the County Courts?
Like 9 years.
And you've heard gunfire before?
Yes, sir.
Do you still live there?
No, sir. I was moved.
Did you feel safer leaving that area?
Sir.
No further questions, Judge.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Is this witness excused or subject to recall?
I'm okay with it.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you may step down.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a brief break. I'm going to give you all a short break. So we'll be back at 3:15. Remember, you've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to discuss it among yourselves or start deliberating in your mind. I'll let you know when it's time to deliberate. Do not do any investigation work. Keep your badges visible. Do not look at anything. If you see anything in regards to this case, ignore it. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise. And with regards to that exhibit, I believe Ms. Ferguson has color printer. And I know I have a color printer in my office as well. So if someone wants to take that out so we can go ahead and mark it. We stand then. Oh, okay. We're ready.
All right, for the jury? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, everyone, please be seated. State call your next witness.
They call Juan Enriquez.
All right, if you could raise your right hand, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you keep your voice up so that everyone can hear. And if you could spell your name for the record, please.
First name Juan, Juan, Enriquez, Enriquez.
State.
Mr. Enriquez, what do you do for a living?
I'm a crime scene investigator for San Antonio Police Department.
What is a crime scene investigator?
I respond to crime scenes to document the scene and collect evidence.
Are you a police officer?
No,
But even though you're not a police officer, as a crime scene investigator, do you receive any training?
yes,
What kind of training do you have?
I have a bachelor's degree in forensic science and I attended a 3-month academy here at San Antonio Police Department.
And when you go to the 3-month academy, what do you learn there?
How to process crime scenes,
And then how do you process crime scenes?
taking photographs, fingerprints, collecting evidence, drawing sketches, videos.
Now, when you get to a crime scene, how does it get determined who does what?
Usually the investigator that's assigned to that area of town is the one that will be in charge of the scene, and then additional investigators will show up and different tasks will be assigned.
And what is your normal shift?
I work the day shift from 6:15 to 2:15.
And are you dressed kind of like the way you're dressed right now?
Yes,
Now, do you work as a group or do you work individually, or how's that work?
we work as a group on major crime scenes, but we do individual work.
Now, when you operate as a group, who makes the decision in terms of who does what?
Usually the crime scene investigator that arrives, whose area it is, divvies up who does what.
Now, are you in any type of a marked police car, or how's that work?
We do have a city vehicle that is black and white, but does not say police on it. It'll say have the city logo and it'll say crime scene unit on it.
And what part of the city, or are you assigned to the whole city?
We are assigned different areas of the city, but we do respond to any area that we need to go to.
Now, on February 3rd of 2018, that morning, where were you assigned that morning?
Probably the west side.
And were you dispatched to a particular location?
Yes,
And where were you sent off to?
928 Angela Walk.
And that's in Bear County, Texas?
Yes,
And 928 Angela Walk, where is that in San Antonio?
it's just outside of downtown, the west side of downtown, just outside.
Now, when you got to 928, what happened?
I contacted the investigators that were already on scene and they told me what was going on. And I was assigned my duties.
And what were your duties?
My duty was to complete a crime scene sketch.
And how do you do a crime scene sketch?
Just an overall overhead drawing of the scene showing the locations of the items of evidence within the scene
How do you figure out the distances and things like that?
with either a laser measurer or a wheel that we roll that measures out distance.
And then once you get these measurements, what do you do?
I draw a sketch showing the overall layout of the scene and the items of evidence.
On February the 3rd, when you arrived at 928 Angela Walk, what was the scene like?
A lot of police officers, we were informed that a search warrant had been obtained for an apartment. And then I assisted with looking for items of evidence.
And what, when you say assist looking for items of evidence, what are you doing?
Looking on the ground, in rooms, apartments, streets, seeing if we find any evidence anywhere.
Like, if it's a shooting, you're looking for like shell casings or anything like that?
Yes,
So on February the 3rd at 928 Angela Walk, you're assisting them?
yes,
And what is your assignment?
to do a crime scene sketch.
And did you do a crime scene sketch?
Yes,
In fact, you did a series sketch.
yes.
May I approach. Let me show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And do those exhibits, what are they?
These are my crime scene sketches.
Do they fairly and accurately represent the scene?
Yes.
Okay, and what are they documenting in the sketches?
The area in front of 928 Angela Walk, the living room area of 928 Angela Walk, the upstairs of 928 Angela Walk, an upstairs bedroom of 200 St. Christopher Walk, and an overall of the intersection of Angela Walk and South Picoso.
Now, are there items listed on your diagram?
Yes,
And what are the items?
all the evidence items that were collected in the scene.
Entered what's marked as State Exhibit number 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Offer them into evidence at this time.
If I may just take a brief line, what I did.
Yes.
Officer Enriquez, you created a sketch, is that correct?
Yes,
And that sketch was based upon markers on the scene,
yes.
and those markers, were they placed by you?
Maybe some of them might have been.
Okay. So part of your job that day was not only making the sketch, was also placing markers?
As I was helping search for items of evidence.
And so when you make this sketch, you will actually list the location of each item, is that correct?
Yes,
And you do that by coordinates,
by measurements.
by measurements, okay? And so these markers were all placed to there, and this sketch was done to your personal knowledge.
Yes.
No objection, Judge.
All right. Then states exhibits 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are admitted without objection?
Correct, Judge.
Go to the jury, Judge.
Yes.
First, let me show you what's marked as State Exhibit number 12. What are we looking at?
The intersection of Angela Walk and South Picoso Street.
And in terms of the numbers on the top of the page, are those the numbers for the apartment?
Yes.
And what's over there in terms of you have some items listed. What's A? Maybe is that just a
And that would be
48?
yes,
And what is that?
a shotgun cup.
Now you also have a square box with I assume is that a license plate?
Yes,
And what is that?
it's an Astro van.
And why was that important?
He was in the crime scene and there was an item of evidence next to it,
What was next to it?
bullet fragment.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 8. And what is that?
The exterior of the front yards of 928, 930, and 932 Angela Walk.
And what are all those numbers?
The several items of evidence ranging from bullets, casings, different items.
And how many shell casings are there?
The exact number, I have to look at the report.
Did you have an addendum to the diagram?
Yes,
Okay, and do you have it in front of you?
yes.
I'm not gonna have you list them all out, but what are these objects that we're looking at?
They appear to be mostly casings or live rounds that were found on the ground.
So these are just the shell casings that you found, I guess, in the yard in front of these homes?
Yes,
And then they were collected by another evidence location.
yes,
And but it was your job to put down where they were.
yes.
And if people want to know what number corresponds to one particular object, you have another page where you describe it.
Yes,
And it's primarily shell casings,
yes,
bullets and things like that.
yes.
And the location of these items, I guess you put them on the diagram, essentially where you found them.
Yes.
Show you State's Exhibit 10. What are we looking at?
The upstairs of 928 Angela Walk.
And what were some of the items that were found upstairs?
Firearm. Arms, ammunition, cell phones,
What numbers?
the 24 through 27.
That would be over here.
Yes.
And some of the other items that were found were what?
Cell phones, ammunition.
Where was the ammunition?
There was some in the bathroom. And looks like in the bedroom.
Show State's Exhibit number 9. What is State's Exhibit 9?
Living room of 928 Angela Walk.
And in that living room, were you able to find a pistol?
Yes,
And where was that?
looks like it was on the entertainment center.
Now, when it says, let's, for example, I think that's E34 cartridge. What do we mean by cartridge?
That's a unfired round, a live round.
And how's that different from 33, which is ammo?
That was, I believe, More than one, it was several of them.
In addition to State's Exhibit number 9, 928 Angela Walk, did you go to 200 St. Christopher?
Yes,
And that's State's Exhibit 11?
yes,
And what did you find at 200 St. Christopher?
fragments
When you say fragments, what kind of fragments are we talking
of
about?
projectiles,
Holy crap.
bullets.
So essentially, your job is to document where they're found,
Yes,
but not to collect them.
no,
And who collected most of the items, most of the check reads?
CSI Patton,
Is CSI Patton still with your unit?
no,
And where is she?
she's in their records department with the San Antonio Police Department.
And is she outside ready to testify?
Yes,
But the evidence that she collected, where is it stored?
in the SAPD property room,
And who has access to the SAPD property?
crime scene unit personnel and property unit personnel.
So it would be a limited access, only certain people are allowed it.
Yes,
And is Lindsay Patton the one who collected it? Is she able to just check things out of the property room?
no,
Why not?
because she no longer works in our unit.
So she wouldn't be able to bring those items in that she collected.
No,
It would have to be somebody else.
yes,
And at my request, did you bring the items that Lindsay Patton collected?
yes,
And are they in front of you or to the side?
yes.
Earlier, those items were tagged, were they not?
Yes,
And does State's Exhibits number 238 through 260 sound correct?
yes.
And so these items that you pulled out of the property room, how long had they been in the property room?
Since they were collected that day of the incident, so 4 years about.
So they're in the property room unless, for example, like the crime lab or someone needs to check them out, and then they put them back in.
Correct.
But these items were kept in a secure location,
Yes,
and you brought them with you at my request.
yes.
Okay, I'll pass it over for any questions.
All right, defense.
Are you an officer?
No,
Okay, so it wouldn't be proper to call you officer in recast.
No.
What would your title be?
Investigator, crime scene investigator,
Investigator. Okay.
CSI,
How long you been working with CSI?
11 years.
Where'd you get your bachelor's?
Baylor University. Baylor, BAYLOR.
Did you work anywhere else before you worked with SAPD?
Yes,
Where?
Kingsville Police Department.
Were you a police officer there?
No,
Always crime scene.
crime scene. Yes, sir.
And this guy, who was in charge of the crime scene investigation?
Would have been CSI Patton.
Who was assigned to place projectile rods?
I don't know.
Okay, but you know what those are, right?
Yes,
And what are those?
rods you stick into defects.
And it tells you in what direction bullets
Yes,
are traveling from.
yes.
Do you know whether any projectile rods were used that day?
I do not know.
Okay. Those are certainly something in y'all tool belt that y'all could. Use, right?
Yes.
Are there also other,
As far as trajectory,
correct,
yeah, yes,
okay, is that something that you use that day?
no,
You, to your knowledge, did anybody use Any line tracing for projectiles?
Not that I know of.
And just so we're clear, what does that exactly do?
Showing the path of a projectile.
It would show from where a projectile started to where it ended.
Yes,
And so it just shows a direction of path.
yes.
Now, I've been to Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, and when we're at campsites, we're called to police the area. Is that something y'all do when you're looking for cases?
Searching, I mean, yes,
And so when I was in Scouts, and my kids still, we line up. Is that what y'all do?
yes.
And so y'all make a big line and start walking in a path?
That's one way to search, yes.
Okay. Did y'all do that in this particular instance?
I'm sure we did, and
And do you feel confident that y'all collected all the evidence that was on scene that day?
yes,
Okay. And so y'all would have marked whatever evidence y'all found on this, on your sketch, right?
yes,
Y'all would have also photographed all the pieces of evidence y'all found. Is that right?
yes, yes.
Now, your job is just to pull out the evidence, right?
On this case, it was to do a sketch, but I did assist with
Okay.
collecting.
Fair enough. But your job duty as a CSI investigator, crime scene investigator, is to not perform any scientific testing on the evidence. Is that right?
Correct,
And that's done by someone else.
correct.
Do you send that evidence to a crime lab, or does the detective do that?
It's the detective.
Okay, so you're not in charge of sending out evidence to crime labs.
No,
You don't investigate or speak to any witnesses either, correct?
correct.
You're simply there to collect physical evidence
Yes,
or do sketches. So like, you're not there to do detective work.
no.
Pass the witness.
Great.
Checks. Items are evidence that are collected or sent, put in the property room, correct?
Yes,
And at my request, did you also bring in what's been marked as take exhibit 246 and 247?
yes.
And what are they?
Projectiles.
These are projectiles that would have come from the ME's office, from an autopsy or something like that.
Yes,
Okay. And it's in the property room. Do the medical examiners have access to the property room?
no,
So it would be essentially someone from SAPD who has to bring them in.
yes,
And did you bring them in at my request?
yes.
Pass witness.
I have no questions, Jeff.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
Judge, just out of abundance of caution, subject to recall.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state of the defense, and just make sure you're available if you're needed for recall. All right, thank you. State, call your next witness.
Take call, Lindsay, Pat.
Brenda, you need a cough drop? Okay. All right, could you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand. Make sure you keep your voice up. And if you could state your name for the record and spell it.
My name is Lindsay Patton, Lyndsey. Last name Patten.
All right, state.
Ms. Patton, what do you do for a living?
I'm a senior management analyst at the San Antonio Police Department.
And what is a senior management analyst at San Antonio Police Department?
I am the supervisor of the ID office. I got that position about 1.5 years ago.
Was that a promotion?
It was, yes.
As a supervisor, what do you do? What are your current duties?
I supervise 17 people. And in my office, I have latent print examiners, I have fingerprint classifiers, and I have administrative professionals that I oversee.
But back in 2018, did you have another job?
I did. I was a crime scene investigator for the San Antonio Police Department.
And what kind of training did you have as a crime scene investigator?
So when I initially got hired, I had 3 months at the SAPD Academy, a month of ride-alongs, and then annual training after that.
When you're on a 3-month ride along, what is that?
For the month, I rode along with another crime scene investigator who oversaw my work.
Now, do you usually work alone, or do you work in a group, or how do you travel?
Alone.
And as a crime scene investigator, what was your normal shift back in 2018? Was it day or night?
I worked the day shift.
And on February the 3rd of 2018, were you dispatched to a particular location?
Yes, I was.
Where-
Picoso and Angela Walk.
And that's in Bexar County, Texas.
Yes, it is.
When you got to Picoso and Angela Walk, what happened?
We were told to wait for a little bit. They were waiting on a warrant for 928. I think it's called Angela Walk.
And so in terms of how many people were out there at that time?
Quite a bit. I couldn't give you a number. Myself and another crime scene investigator were there, Priscilla Vasquez. We waited together, and then I believe a few more crime scene investigators came to help us once we realized the scope of the scene.
Priscilla Vasquez, she is no longer with SAP?
No, she's not.
And so what was your duty or task that day?
That day, I was in charge of collecting evidence.
And what evidence did you collect?
I collected, I believe, over 60 items of evidence. 60, I'd have to count.
Who directs you to collect these items?
I was working central that day, so it is my area. So I get to choose what I would like to do, and I chose the, in my opinion, the larger task of collecting evidence.
Now, when you collect evidence such as shell casings or bullets or things like that, how do you collect them?
Meaning, do we wear gloves? Yes. So we wear gloves. We put it in individual packages. And then in this instance, I took it back to the crime scene unit office and I packaged it there.
When you say you package it, how do you package it?
We use tape, and I will inspect each item, see if I need to do any additional processing like fingerprinting or something of that nature. Then we will package it, put the clear tape on it, put our red evidence tape, and mark it with our initials. And then we'll print out a barcode and a label to attach to it so the property room can keep track of it.
Why do you initial it and seal it with tape?
So that I can identify it later on and others can identify that it's mine.
And so when you were done with the items that you collected, where did you put them?
I put them in 401 South Frio. It's a property room. Since the property room is not open at this hour that I was there, we have a secondary location where we put property into lockers essentially that are locked. And the property room has like multiple levels of passcodes to get in, or not a code, but you know, levels of security.
It's a secure location,
Yes, it is. That's what I'm getting at.
where members of the public are not, they don't have access.
Correct.
Select people do in terms of being able to retrieve evidence and keeping it safe.
That's correct.
And did you put it in the property room or one of the property rooms?
I did, yes.
And since you are no longer with the evidence collection unit, are you able to go down to the property room, and take things out?
No, I'm not.
And that's part of the security that they have down there.
Yes,
And so were you aware that Juan Enriquez brought some of the items that you collected?
yes, I was.
Were you with them when he went to the property room?
I was.
And so you were there when he collected the items?
Yes, I was.
All right, if I may approach.
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
Let me hand you the big bag of stuff.
Okay.
First of all, how do you determine what to collect and what not to collect?
It depends. It varies on each scene. If we know that the victim was shot, we'll look for shell casings and guns and things of that nature. If they were perhaps, stabbed, we'll look for a knife. We'll look, the scene kind of determines what you collect. And also, detectives at the scene will give direction about what they would like collected as well.
Show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 260. And what is that?
This is a tan bulletproof vest.
And where was that found?
I believe that was found inside 928 into the walk. Let me double check. Yes, on the floor between the living room and dining room.
We see that there's some tape here
Yes,
and I guess some initials.
yes, those are my initials and badge number.
And you seal it up just to make sure it's the same.
Yes,
And can you open it up and let us know, is that the same item that you collected?
sure.
And,
Yes,
and that's because you keep it in a sealed bag in a sealed location until the time of trial.
correct, correct.
First of all, I've handed you a box of items. And take a look at each one of them and see if you recognize your writing, your initials on there somewhere, and that each of them are sealed, I guess, as part of your policies and procedures.
I would have to open this one.
Which number is that?
18, 19, and 23. The rest, I recognize my initials on.
Now, under 238, 260, except for 246, 247. As well as 244, 245, 248, 249.
Correct.
In terms of 244, 245, 248, 249, are they in a bag?
Yes.
Are they in a bag? I guess that someone else put them in.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's go through some of the exhibits. First of all, the items that you collected, where did you collect them from?
Different locations within the scene. I collected some from inside 928 Angela Walk, in the front yard of 928 Angela Walk, the front yard of 930 Angela Walk. Also collected item from inside apartment. I think it's 200. Also in front of 932 Angela Walk. I collected an item from the streets, Picoso Street. Yes, I collect items from 200 St. Christopher Walk. I'm sorry. Thanks. I collected items from 200 St. Christopher Walk.
Can you go through the box and find which specific exhibit that you found in front of 928, 930, and 932? Angela Law?
I believe the rest are in here. But I have 4 items that I can identify.
Start going through one of the 4 items. Which item is in front of you?
17.
What is date exhibit 17?
17 is a Winchester 12 gauge bullet collected from the front yard between 928 Angela Walk and 930 Angela Walk. Oh, States Exhibit 240.
So state exhibit number 240. When we say it states exhibit number 240, it would have matched exhibit number, I guess, 17.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And so how do you know that 240 is states exhibit 17?
On our barcode label, it's item number 17, which corresponds to the item numbers in my report.
And can you open it up and
Sure.
and that would be the item that you collected from state exhibit 17.
Yes.
And the other 3? What exhibit numbers are they?
239, 238, and 242.
And do you recognize your writing on that?
Yes, I do.
Sealed envelopes?
Yes, sir.
And were you the one to seal?
Yes, I was.
Can you open them to make sure that those are the items that you collect?
Yes, they are.
And What other exhibits did you collect? From? Did the rest of them were in the envelopes?
Yes, sir.
Or which envelopes were they?
These,
Which exhibits?
249, 248, 245, and 244.
Go get you.
Sure.
At this point, all these exhibits have been sealed. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're the one opening.
Correct.
Inside of, sorry, which exhibit was that?
That was 244 that I opened.
244, what was inside, safety of 244?
Quite a few shell casings, I believe. Would you like me to list them all out?
Please.
Okay. So I have my item numbers, 52, 35, 38, 40, 39, 41, 42, 43, 44. Looks like they cut off the number on this one. 45, 46, 53, 54, 55, and 56.
Now, these numbers that you called out, do they correspond, I guess, with their position on the diagram?
Yes, sir.
The exhibits that you just told the jury about, what are in them?
Shell casings
And can you open one of them up?
and bullet fragments.
It's one of the shell cases.
Sure. I'm opening item number 43 on my list.
A shell casing, I guess, is it
It's a 40 caliber shell casing.
would be a bullet that's inspected.
Correct.
Can you tell me what each of the other exhibits are in terms of caliber, if you know?
Sure. We have another 40 caliber, another 40 caliber, another 40 caliber, another 40 caliber, another 40, another 40, 9mm, another 9mm, another 40 caliber, 40 caliber, and 40 caliber.
And would you be able to, are there numbers on there that correspond, I guess, to the diagram in terms of what they are?
Yes, sir.
And which numbers would they correspond?
Sure. Number 45, number 46, number 39, number 40, number 52, number 35, number 38, number 44, number 41, number 42, number 53, and number 43. And these three are bullet fragments that were collected.
And they were in which envelope?
States Exhibit 244.
For now, why don't you put them back? Can you open up the next envelope?
Sure.
exhibit is it?
This is exhibit 245.
What is inside state's exhibit 45?
It's more shell casings,
240.
multiple shell casings.
Can you tell me what they are and what number they correspond?
Sure, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 22, 40 caliber shell casing, item number 20, 40 caliber shell casing, item number 16, 40 caliber shell casing, item number 15, 40 caliber shell casing, item number 14, 40 caliber shell casing, item number 13, a 223 bullet and a 9mm shell casing, item number 12, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 11, a 9mm shell casing, item number 10, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 9, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 8, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 7, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 6, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 5, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 4, a 40 caliber bullet, item number 3, a 40 caliber shell casing, item number 2, and a bullet fragment, item number 1.
And each of these envelopes contain the items that you identify?
Yes, sir.
And do you recognize your writing?
Yes, sir.
And they're all sealed?
Yes, sir.
You open one of them, and show us one of the shell cases.
Sure.
It's your job is to collect the evidence, put them in envelopes, and put them in essentially a secure location.
Yes, sir.
Put those back in that exhibit. That was state exhibit number 245,
Yes, sir.
and what's in state exhibit 248?
It looks like a 223 bullets. Would you like me to open it? Okay.
All right, inside state exhibit number,
248.
what are they?
One envelope contains a REM 223 bullets. The second envelope contains 2 REM 223 bullets.
And what numbers did they correspond?
Item number 32 and item number 34.
What's that? Would you recognize your writing on all these things?
Yes, sir.
They're all sealed with your initials.
Yes, sir.
The next exhibit,
It's States Exhibit 249.
state exhibit 249.
I believe there are 9mm shell casings and a 223 REM bullet. Would you like me to open it?
What's in there?
The first envelope has a 9mm shell casing and another 9mm shell casing in it. It's item 18. And the next one has two 9mm shell casings, and it's item number 19. And item number 23 has a 223 REM bullet.
And you recognize your writing.
Yes, sir.
And they're all sealed,
Yes, sir.
and these are the items that you collect.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can put them. And,
Mhm.
And did you collect a number of items from inside 928 Angela Walk?
Yes, sir.
And which items did you collect?
From inside, I. I collected item number 49. Item number 60. Item number 26. Item number 27. Item number 59. Item 25A. Item 27A.
Sorry, which number?
27A was the last one. Item number 24. Item 33. And item 57.
Are there other items that you have not got in the box, or have we got?
I believe there is this one from collected from Picoso Street.
What street?
Picoso.
And what is that?
It's a shot cup.
And that's something you collected?
Yes, sir.
And what other items did you collect?
What number was that? I'm sorry. I didn't-
Sure, it's 48. I believe. And item 25, I also collected from inside 928 Angela Walk.
And what is item 25?
Item 25 is a Palmetto firearm.
Can you open that one up?
Yes, sir.
Again, for the exhibit. Recognize somebody
Yes, sir.
on the field,
Yes, sir.
you're opening them at my,
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, is that 259?
States Exhibit 259, yes.
Sorry, those items.
259? Hard to get into.
And where'd you collect that?
This was item 25. It was collected from the floor in front of the bathtub in the upstairs bathroom.
And where were the other firearms collected?
Some other firearms were also collected from the bathroom floor. I believe one was found behind the TV and there was one in a bedroom, I believe.
Can you please identify each firearm that was collected in terms of the exhibit?
Sure. Numbers 27, 26, 25, and 24 are all firearms.
Those are from your exhibit? Those were the exhibit numbers for the diagram.
Correct.
And which items does it correspond to in terms of the one that you brought today?
As far as the state's exhibit numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you open up each pistol?
Sure. So I have 25 here. It's State's Exhibit 259. And
You can hand that back to the deputy so you can keep it secure.
I stand corrected. Item 24 is not a firearm. It's a drum magazine with bullets and also some additional bullets are in there. Item number 57, which is in the upstairs bedroom, is also a firearm. And it states exhibit 257.
And you have to take exhibit 257 in front of you.
Yes, sir.
Again, it's in a secure packaging,
Yes, sir.
and you're the one that's sealed it up,
Yes, sir.
and you recognize the right.
I do.
You open it up.
Yes. Sorry.
Which exhibit was that?
This is exhibit 257.
And what kind of firearm was in 257?
This is a Taurus. Let me look at my report. Taurus model PT111G2.
And the next firearm?
Okay, I have states exhibit 254. It's item number 26. It's from the bathroom floor. Would you like me to open it?
Please.
And it's a Glock 27. It's a 40 caliber firearm. Next I have my item number 60. It's a should be a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber firearm.
So what was the exhibit number?
255.
Counsel, do you want her to open this?
Yep, sorry.
Thank you.
Now I have item 49. It states exhibit 256. This firearm was found near the entertainment center behind the TV. On the entertainment center behind the TV. And this is, I believe it's pronounced Lorson firearm. Serial number 353123. And now I have my item 27, States Exhibit 253. This was found on the floor in the upstairs bathroom. This is a Springfield firearm, model XD-9.
Can you also find States Exhibit number 258?
Okay.
Drum magazine.
Oh.
Can you recognize your writing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please open. And what is the drum magazine? Not so the jury understands.
Sure. It just describes the shape, the drum shape of the magazine. And it holds multiple bullets.
So for example, if I were to put in a magazine into a firearm that the deputy is carrying, it would just be that one top black part that would fit in.
Correct, this part.
And so why do we have the drum?
For the extra bullets.
And so it's.
I'm not sure the capacity of this drum, I'm sorry.
That's. Make sure we talked about everything. 238. What is 238?
238. I'd have to look for it. .238 is the shot shell.
So we're going to 241. And 243.
.243 is a Glock magazine and 40 S&W bullets, and a PMAG, hold on. Ran out of room. And a PMAG 40 AR magazine with bullets.
It would be the magazine for the rifle.
Yes, sir.
We're missing 250, 251, 253, 252.
250 is the Smith & Wesson 40 S&W magazine, along with along with 40 S&W bullet, more 40 S&W bullets, a black magazine, a 9mm bullet, and more 9mm bullets. And that was my item number 59, which would have been under the bed, under the mattress, sorry.
And 251.
It's going to be 9mm bullets and another 9mm bullet.
52.
252 is 40 S&W bullets in a orange Browning box.
This box about.
Correct.
So if I've done this right, you've identified state's exhibit numbers 238 through 260, except for 246 and 247.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's correct.
Except those two exhibits we got from the ME's office, rest of those items were items that you collected.
Yes, sir.
They are the same items that you brought today.
Yes, sir.
I would offer, page exhibit number 238 through 260, except for 246 and 247. Now, we tend to go to 210 count holders.
There's just a few questions, Gentleman, would I?
All right, yeah.
Investigator Patton, or is that no one?
That's no longer my title.
Apologize. Your writing was on those envelopes, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're one who collected those items.
Yes, sir.
And so you unsealed them for the first time?
Yes, sir.
You deposited those at the evidence room after you collected them?
That's correct. Yes.
Are you aware that those items were sent off to a crime lab?
I can tell by what's written on them here, but I didn't know
Okay,
before today.
but so would they have been opened at the crime lab?
Yes.
And so that was not the first time those envelopes were opened, is that correct?
From my knowledge, it does look like someone else has opened them.
And so those items may have been placed in someone else's hands, correct?
Correct.
And you're not aware of whose hands those items may have been placed in?
No, sir.
All right, Judge. Well, with no objections, allow that.
All right, then state's exhibits number 238 through 245 is admitted without objection. And state's exhibits 248 through 260 is admitted without objection. Are those correct numbers from both sides?
47, 248. Sorry, 246.
All right, yes. All right. You may proceed, state.
So your job was to collect these items,
Yes, sir.
but, there was another evidence tech, Phil Vasquez, signed to this case,
Yes, sir.
and what was her job?
I believe she was photographing the scene.
But she's no longer with us.
That's correct.
Have you had a chance to look at some photos that I've shown you, from the crime scene, take exhibit number 13 through 235?
Yes, sir.
Even though you didn't take those pictures, do they fairly and accurately represent the crime scene?
Yes, sir.
Motion, tender, what else? Martha stated September 13 to 2:35.
Judge, we can approach that.
Good approach.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to excuse you for today. We're going to come back tomorrow and we'll start tomorrow at 1:30 because I have a full docket in the morning. And here's the thing about coming back at 1:30 tomorrow. People should have left the parking garage because it's lunchtime and sometimes people will go, I call it going off campus for lunch instead of staying downtown. So there should be a parking space available for you if you arrive at around 12:30, because usually the courts, all of the courts, both on the criminal side and the civil side, they usually break for lunch at 12 and everybody comes back at 1:30. Okay. So remember, you've heard some evidence in this court. Do not do any investigation whatsoever. Everything you need to know about this case will come from inside the 187 District Court. Okay. You're not to start deliberating. Don't start about thinking about anything in your head. I'll let you know when it's time to deliberate. If you see anything on the news or see something in the paper, ignore it. If someone tries to speak to you about this case, or if they're talking around you about this case, ignore it and just make sure you keep your badges displayed. Okay. All right. I'll see everyone tomorrow at 1:30. All right, everyone, please rise.